outside. If you live on a busy highway, this would be a great product to use because you would not hear the traffic noises that you would with other forms of construction. Again, termites don't like it, and as I mentioned, it's very strong. This shows this is an infrared picture showing the exterior where energy is leaking out, where the heat on a cold day is leaking out, and of course the reverse would be true in the summer. But the red areas and the green areas are windows, and then all the rest, the dark blue areas, is the rostra, and you can see there's virtually no heat loss at all with this. Here we are on the addition that we did. This is the first project we did with this stuff. You get a pumping truck with a big crane to come in, and then the concrete's coming down that tube, and we're core filling. Normally, you would, in a normal house, you'd probably core fill the first floor, and then core fill the second floor. The structure was so small that we decided to try to do it all at once, and it worked great. Next. Yeah. Here he is. That's the one of the guys from the roster crew up there filling it in with the concrete. You can see a little bit over here of the foam that they use in between to stack them to hold them together temporarily. Next. And then before they pour it, we come and build all of this wood structure to hold it in place while you pour it, because you don't want to be pouring the concrete and all of a sudden have one of the blocks beside it doesn't like the concrete and start to move. So it's all pretty well fastened together, and then once the concrete's cured for a couple of days, all that comes down, and you've got a structure that's ready to finish, basically. Another great thing about rostra, you don't need drywall. You can just take your drywall mud 2 coats on the inside, and then put whatever kind of finish you want on it. This shows the addition in the back that we added on with the rostra in the house. Remember I mentioned the polycarbonate panels before on the other house? That's what he has over his carport. It lets light in the windows down below, but it's waterproof, protects from the rain. This just shows the transition from the rostra house into the existing residence on that remodel we just showed you from the outside. And that's the stairway. We put this picture in, well, that was our helper on the job. But the windows are, on this project, we set the windows halfway into the wall so that you had a reveal on the inside and the outside. It's a 10-inch wall, so you got plenty of room on both sides. Go ahead. This is a house that we built out of rostra. This is on Evergreen Way, and so you get an idea. Oh, and then I mentioned about you can drywall right on the inside. You can stucco directly to the outside. You don't need to mesh or anything else. You're just ready to go. We just did a brown coat and a scratch coat on it, and then came back and used the acrylic stuccos, which you can get in colors. So. As you can see, it makes, let me mention real quick here, the roof. On all of the projects that we do, we use standing seam metal roofs. It's a lot more additional cost at first, but the advantages are it'll pay for itself over time. It won't end up in a landfill. A 15-year shingle roof in Texas maybe lasts 12 years if you don't have a hailstorm. You know, this will last your lifetime. So basically it pays for itself over time. Also highly reflective, so you don't get the heat coming into your house. And I think a lot of insurance companies will give you a break on your homeowner's insurance with a metal roof. This shows the front porch here. We used East Texas red cedar. One of the other things about green building is you want to use local products as much as you can. The beams up there at the top and the posts are East Texas red cedar. And so that, you know, and it just adds a really nice kind of local hill country feel to the whole thing. These people had some cedar on their property, and they thought, well, we can use, in the original plans, we were going to use cedar trees off the property. And then we went around and had a look at it. They would have wiped out all the big cedars, so we imported them from East Texas, which is still fairly local. And that's a picture of the front, the second story. All those walls that you're looking at are rostra, except for the fireplace. It's a volcanic stone that comes from Denmark. I'm trying to remember the name of it right now. Anyway, it's a preformed fireplace where you get the advantages of a masonry fireplace, but it's lower cost. There's an outdoor fireplace and an indoor fireplace, which we'll see in a minute. But in Texas, I found that the outdoor fireplaces get used a lot more than the indoor fireplaces. This shows one of the interior structural walls. That's rostra wall there. So you get that really great southwestern look at it if you use for any interior walls, because you get that real thick, like adobe looking structure. And then we put a cedar lintel up there. Actually, you can have the openings because you have that concrete and steel every 15 inches for your headers. You really don't need that. That's put in as again, an architectural element. And this shows a window. In this house, we set the windows all the way to the outside of the wall. We had a bunch of leftover longleaf pine from a garage that we tore down, which we milled down and turned it all into the window trim. So to get all of that wood detail we wanted, we moved the windows to the outside. This shows a couple of clear story windows. You can see the roof overhang in the one on the right. It lets a lot of natural light in. It lets the big windows are almost entirely in this house covered with roofs, so that they're shaded during the hot summer days. This lets light in the wintertime. Through this window, you can see the light shining on one of the interior rostra walls there, and the masonry in the rostra is a heat sink, so that wall will be absorbing heat as long as the sunlight shining on it, and then it'll emit that during the evening and night when it cools off. This shows, we're switching quickly here to a rainwater collection system. This house has a rainwater collection system. That is showing the recirc tank. This is a really good rainwater system. Lakota Water and Dripping Springs did this system. They're pretty great. They know what they're doing. This is a recirc system. Every day it kicks on for about an hour. That black tank has a sand filter in it, and all the water is recirculated through the sand filter daily, so it stays real fresh. And that's the rest of the filters. Ultraviolet filters, two kinds of filters with different microns, and then I think the other one's another ultraviolet filter, so the water is very clean. And that's the tank. These tanks are called Pioneer tanks. I like them because it holds 20,000 gallons. I like them because they're a lower profile. You can get them in colors. They're erected on the site. All you need to do is make a level sand base for them. They can be installed on the site, and it holds, like I said, 20,000 gallons. For this project, an inch of rain gives you, we figure, about 1,800 to 2,000 gallons. So obviously this system hadn't been collecting a whole lot of water lately, but when it starts raining again, well, it'll be doing fine.
Back to the inside of the house.
Oh, back to the inside of the house. This just shows it's a simple way to produce the adobe look to a house. This fireplace, again, that's the inside fireplace opposite the outdoor fireplace. You can't see it that well in this picture. That's a mesquite mantle up there. Again, trying to use local materials. So we got the mantle made out of mesquite. And that just shows the upstairs of the house. This thing you could, I don't know, that's just the upstairs. Okay, now times its size in like 30 seconds, so it just fills up every cavity. So there's no air penetration or infiltration like you'd have with fiberglass insulation. So advantages of stick framing is the lower cost per square foot of project. I figure rostra if you figure building a house with rostra compared to stick framing, I've done this comparison on a couple of projects. Getting it to the point where you're ready for drywall on the